Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. When my parents decided to move to a small village just outside of Limpopo, we all thought that it was going to be a fresh start. My dad had been laid off, and as for the city was draining what little money that we had left. So my mom, since she came from the same province, she was like, it is quiet there. She kept on nagging and saying that we should move out of Johannesburg and we can finally have some land, our own land. So we packed our things, went to Venda, left our tiny flat in Johannesburg, drove 8 hours to what was supposed to be our new home. It was a small 3-bedroomed house with a tin roof and a very big garden. The neighbors were really friendly enough, mostly older folks who would lived in the area for decades. And as for me, when I see the vegetation, I said, here comes the snakes, and I am someone who is really scared of snakes. At first, things were really peaceful. We spent the first few days unpacking, exploring the village. Mom even started planting vegetables in the garden. Is excited for our new life, but things did not stay peaceful for very long. It started with Letu, not her real name, my young sister. She was the first to notice that something was not right. One night, she woke us up like she was screaming. She was like, Mom, Dad. We then rushed to her room and she said that she had heard footsteps outside of her window. It is probably just a dog, my dad mumbled after asleep, but Letu swore that it was not. She said that it sounded as if it was a human. She whispered. We did not take her seriously at first. After all, we were in a rural area. Strange noises were part of the package because even near the house where we were staying, there was no stop nonsense at the back. So we thought that maybe usually there were people that will just use it as a shortcut because there was a pathway, a well-walked pathway. So this showed that there were people that used to use this yard as a shortcut going to the other street. But then things started disappearing. First of all, my mom's gold necklace. This was a gift she claimed from her late grandmother, was the first to go. She always kept it in a small wooden box on her dresser. One morning it was gone. Who took it, she said. She looked at us and none of us even confessed. We searched the entire house, but it was nowhere to be found. My mom was really furious, but we chalked it up to someone who was misplacing it. Then late one night we had it. It was a soft, high-pitched giggle coming from the living room. There were people that were there, people that were busy laughing. At what they were laughing at, we could not even understand. There were people that were in the living room. It was faint, almost playful, but it froze us in our tracks. We were all in the kitchen having dinner, so we knew that no one else was in the house. My dad, ever the skeptic, got up to check. He found nothing. Maybe it is just the wind or this drunkard boys, he said, always passing through our yard, trying to sound convincing. But we all knew that there was something. There were people that we had heard that were there in the living room. Brother Nashi, we all knew better, but we chose to ignore everything. So these people that will be talking in the living room, and these were Venda speaking people that we would hear. They would giggle throughout the night, and then that was when we started to notice the shadows. Like you would just see something quick, something running through the walls out of the corner of your eye. Letu stopped sleeping in her own room, claiming she felt someone was watching her. My mom started burning incense because she is someone who loves herbs as well. Even though I hated to share my room with Letu, but I was scared at the same time, so I would allow her to sleep to share my room with me. My mom then told our neighbor about what was happening, and my mom said that her reaction, she was like, it is a Tokoloshe. Is a Tokoloshe. She said my mom laughed when she was explaining what this woman was telling her, and she said that maybe she was just joking. From there on, she kept on telling my mom that someone is sending this Tokoloshe to us someone is jealous and you need to act before it gets worse. We did not know what to think. My dad, being the practical man, he dismissed everything outright. That is pure nonsense. My mom was not sure what if she is right, and my dad will never accept such a thing. So the breaking point came a week later at around midnight. Letu again, she screamed. We all ran to her room, and there she was, curled up in the corner, shaking and pointing at the shadows. It was standing there, she cried, kept on pointing and pointing. It was small. I saw something that was really small. It had eyes that were glowing in the dark, she said, and this thing was laughing at me. My dad searched through the room. Still, there was nothing. My sister was shaking. The next morning, my mom decided to call a sangoma. So when this man arrived, he did not waste any time. He walked through the house, burning herbs around the house. Finally, he stopped and turned to us and he said, there is a Tokoloshe here. It was sent by someone who is jealous of you. They do not want you to succeed. He performed a cleansing ceremony as he made us to chant, and he said that this is not the end. This person is prepared. He will keep on sending this thing to you. You need to keep up with these ceremonies and rituals. So for a week, everything seemed fine. Everything had stopped and the shadows totally disappeared. Mom was okay. Even Letu went back to sleeping in her own room. My dad joked about how we had wasted money on witchcraft nonsense. Deep down, I knew that he was relieved that it was all over. So we thought, that was when that thing came back again. The Tokoloshe came back stronger than ever. It started with small things. You would hear your bedroom door that you would have locked being opened up, being closed. You would hear people walking in the hallway. Then it got worse and worse. One night I woke up to find my blankets had been pulled out of my bed and they had been folded. My blankets, they had been folded and placed right next to me. When I turned on the light, I saw that there were wet footprints on the floor, like a child that had been playing in my room. A few nights later, Mom woke up screaming. She said something had been sitting on her chest, choking her. We even saw some marks around her neck, like a hand had grabbed her. Even my dad, the man who used to say that witchcraft is for people who did not go to school, he woke up with scratches on his arm, a scratch that he could not understand or explain. The Sangoma returned, but this time he said, I told you, this thing is very powerful. You need to believe me. This thing, it needs you to make a sacrifice. My mom said, what kind of a sacrifice? That was when we were told that we had to slaughter a chicken. So we slaughtered a chicken. Then we started to sprinkle the blood all over the house, and more herbs were burnt. And this man, he charged my dad a lot of money. Back in Johannesburg, my dad had this other car that he loved a lot, so he had to sell that car in order for him to settle the bill with this Sangoma. This is the only way that we were able to get rid of that Tokoloshe. I am even scared of visiting my relatives, my mother's relatives, who are there in the rural area where she was born in Venda, not because I discriminate against them, but because of what happened. My dad just had to get a job and we returned back to Johannesburg. This is my own family story, Brother Nashi. Dear listeners, right there was a message, a translation of a message that was forwarded to me. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.